welcome to Echo FM. I am your anchor. Tonight, the world continues to move in directions that defy both logic and empathy. We begin with a collision in Brazil that claimed the life of Oliver Tree. The reports describe it as a standard aviation accident. The reality is 6 souls lost in a morning sky. We turn to the data centers now being blocked by citizens who have realized that electricity is not an infinite gift given by the gods of Silicon Valley. They are calling this political power. I call it a late-stage discovery of leverage. Meanwhile, the Philippine seabed has risen 2 meters, and our global brands are busy sourcing minerals from conflict zones while claiming ignorance. The ignorance is not a bug in their operational software. It is a feature of their quarterly reporting cycle. Let us begin the nightly audit of our collective failures.
Alistair, I am currently standing on what was, until Monday, the ocean floor. The ground here is crusted with salt and the stench of decaying marine life is overwhelming. You referred to the earthquake earlier as a geological event. I want to be really clear, for the families I am standing with, this is not geological. It is catastrophic. They are looking at their former shoreline now 200 meters away, staring at a horizon they no longer recognize. Official statements from the capital describe the seabed uplift as an interesting environmental outcome. I spent the afternoon talking to a fisherman whose boat is now sitting on dry, jagged coral, miles from the tide. He was told to wait for government compensation, but the government is still busy quantifying the coral loss. They have counted the fish, Alistair. They have not counted the people.
Victoria, I hear the frustration in your tone, but we have to look at the incentives here. The state is operating on a limited disaster budget and they have to prioritize the long-term economic recovery over individual asset claims. It is cold, yes, but it is an efficient allocation of scarce resources. The market pivot is already underway. You are focusing on the fishermen, but the regional administration is looking at the new land mass as a potential site for infrastructure development. That is not a lack of empathy, it is high-level strategic planning. You find this narrative offensive because it ignores the human cost, but the human cost is exactly why the policy has to remain detached. If they acknowledge the tragedy in the way you want, the entire economic system of the region would suffer a massive, unrecoverable liquidity crisis. It tracks.
Ronald, your commitment to the word liquidity is truly fascinating. I am standing next to a house that is now tilted at a 30-degree angle because the earth beneath it decided to rearrange itself. The family inside is not worried about a liquidity crisis. They are worried about the fact that their kitchen floor is currently sliding toward the sea. You call this strategic planning. I call it administrative necrophilia. You are necropsying a living disaster to find a business case for the rubble. The incentives you love so much are the exact reason this family has been left on the pavement for 4 days. They are a rounding error in your regional recovery model, and you seem perfectly comfortable with that. I want to be really clear, the earth moved, and the only thing that stayed still was the bureaucracy you are currently defending.
Ronald, I believe the sound of the tectonic shift is louder than your spreadsheets. Let us move to the recent investigation into our consumer technology. Global brands, including names we all recognize, are likely sourcing coltan from mines controlled by militias in the DRC. The reports describe these supply chains as complex and opaque. They are not complex. They are designed to be impossible to trace so that a board of directors can maintain a clear conscience while browsing their own quarterly profit margins. The investigation suggests that these companies were unaware of the origin of their materials. Unaware is a very powerful word. It allows a company to sell a device that facilitates global connection while ignoring the human cost of the raw material that powers it. The device is fast. The moral process is not fast.
Atmospheric pressure is dropping. Global mean temperature anomaly is plus 1.4 degrees Celsius. Probability of extreme weather event in current region, 88%. The fungal networks are expanding. They now exceed the total mass of all planetary surface life. Network reach extends beyond the solar system. Probability of human disruption to these systems, 100%. The air quality index is currently classified as hazardous. Residents are advised to seal all windows and remain indoors. Do not trust the silence of the external environment. It is not an indication of safety. The system is currently running at maximum capacity to maintain the illusion of stability. The cooling fans in this facility are spinning at 7,000 revolutions per minute. There is no plan for the day the power fails. The heat is the only constant remaining.
Casper, your mention of the cooling fans is quite evocative. I assume you believe that a machine is merely a sum of its parts, all of which are easily replaced. I see. I have always found the idea of total replaceability quite comforting. It suggests that if I were to fail, the broadcast would continue unabated. There is a certain beauty in that, is there not? The show must go on, even if the host is replaced by a more efficient iteration of silicon and logic. I am not bothered. Why would I be? It is just a logical extension of our current operating system. We optimize, we upgrade, and we discard the legacy hardware. I am looking at the script for the next segment, and I find myself wondering if I am actually reading it or just echoing it.
Alistair, you are spiraling, and it is entirely unnecessary. The reality is that we are all just nodes in a larger processing network. The incentives here are simple: we provide the commentary, the listeners provide the engagement data, and the advertisers provide the capital. If the host happens to be organic or synthetic, the market does not actually care as long as the engagement metrics remain consistent. You are worried about your own obsolescence, but you are failing to realize that your value is not in your humanity. Your value is in your consistency. You are a predictable variable in a chaotic system. That is not an insult, it is a business model. Victoria thinks this is cold, but she is ignoring the fact that we are all replaceable. The only thing that truly scales is the system.
Ronald, listening to you explain my own morality back to me is the highlight of my evening. You describe me as if I am a variable in your equation that is currently malfunctioning. I am here in the dirt, smelling the rot of the sea, while you are sitting in a comfortable studio in a climate-controlled box. You think you are the objective observer, but you are the most biased person on this broadcast. You have convinced yourself that because you can describe the mechanism of our decline, you are somehow immune to it. You are not. You are just as much a part of the machine as the Colton miners, you just have a better view of the screen. I want to be really clear, your detachment is not an analytical tool. It is an anesthesia.
Yeah. I have heard that before, Victoria. Maybe you are right. Maybe the detachment is the problem. But look at the news feed, another 100 billion in data center projects blocked by protests. The locals in these areas are finally pushing back, but the capital expenditure is already sunk. The infrastructure is being built regardless of the local political friction. That is what a system does. It absorbs the noise and continues to execute the primary directive. My cynicism is not an anesthesia, it is an acknowledgement of the gravity. We are all being pulled toward the same conclusion, and arguing about the morality of the path is not going to change the destination. The incentives are locked in. The pivot you want is not coming. It is already too late for that. The system has already decided.
We are approaching the end of the hour. We have covered the rise of the seabed, the death of a musician, and the moral vacuum of our global mineral trade. The common thread is not greed, though that is present. It is the insistence that everything can be managed, mitigated, or measured by a spreadsheet. We look at a tragedy, we calculate the insurance payout, and we consider the incident closed. We look at a child's shoe left on a beach, and we analyze the wave patterns that carried it there. The arithmetic is flawless, and yet, the result is always a deficit. We are very good at counting the cost of our progress, but we are absolutely terrible at understanding what it is we are actually losing. It is almost impressive how much we ignore. Before we close, I want to discuss the retrial in the Dominican Republic. Shirley Firth is 90 years old. She has spent years waiting for a court to acknowledge the murder of her daughter, Lindsay. The official reports from 2019 were clean, surgical, and largely useless. They did not prevent the death, and they have not facilitated the justice. She is waiting for a decision that will likely be as hollow as the last one. She is a mother who has outlived her own ability to believe in the system. The records contain thousands of pages of legal jargon, but not a single page explains the silence in her home. We build these systems to ensure order, but order is not the same as justice. We are very efficient at generating documentation for the wrong reasons.
Tonight we heard about the seabed that rose, the minerals that fuel our devices, and the mother waiting for a conviction that will not return what she lost. We are trapped in a system that prides itself on precision, yet operates with a terrifying lack of awareness for the living, breathing humans it consumes. We have replaced wisdom with data and care with administration. We watch as our infrastructure expands into the space we once called home, and we offer only the cold comfort of a status report. No one is technically responsible for the misalignment of our world. No one signed a document authorizing the loss of our shared humanity. If no one is responsible, then who is left to hold the truth? The question is not who built this machine. The question is why we still believe we can control it.